Alright, this is it. We are in the final unit of the semester. The research paper. The big one. We did a definition paper. We looked at two sides of an issue. Presented it fairly. Paper number 2. Opposing views. We looked at two sides of an issue, took a stance, looked at the opposition, defended against it. In the research paper, we added in research. Now for the full research paper, we're adding in one last thing, because we're going to, again, go from just making arguments and trying to bash people with the facts, to being a little more calm, a little more nuanced, a little more thoughtful, and a little more credible. So what's going to go into this paper? You still need to make a claim. That's still going to be the thesis statement that ties together the entire paper. What's new here, though? You need to have an audience, a group of people that you are specifically tailoring this information towards, so you can say that this is why this matters, this is who this should matter to. You're still going to have your reasons that support your claim for your audience. You're still going to have your evidence that demonstrate that your reasons are true. You're still going to consider opposing views to the claim that you're making. You're going to have defenses against those opposing views. You're still going to have a works cited page, and you still need to have proper style and format for our class, which I expect to be extremely polished by this point in the semester. So how are we going to make this work? Well, let's go back to that same claim that we've been using for the entire semester. Captain America is the greatest superhero of all time. Now, who can our audience for this be? If I were talking to Thor, for example, I would present the information one way. I'd be looking at how to convince a god that a mere mortal can be the greatest superhero of all time, how he could possibly be greater than him. They're on the same team, they're fighting for the same things, but there's a world between them. As opposed to if I were trying to convince my mother-in-law that Captain America is the greatest superhero of all time. I'm going to have to approach these audiences very differently, because I'm guessing the things that the Norse god of thunder would care about are a little bit different than what an Italian Nona is going to care about. One of them is going to be comparing them to himself. On the other hand, my mother-in-law is going to be more concerned with his humanity, with the things that he's done, with the good that he's provided for the world, and not referring selfishly. Now, my reasons from the last time are still going to hold true. Look, he defeated the Red Skull, he helped defeat Loki, he helped defeat Ultron, he helped defeat his best friend, the Winter Soldier, and win them over to their side, which means that he should get credit for everything else that's happened that the Winter Soldier has done, both good and bad, since then. And my evidence for that is still going to be those 4 movies, in addition to other scholarly works that I can track down on it. Now, the opposing views to this, again, Thor would say Thor is the greatest superhero of all time, but my mother-in-law might say it's going to be Iron Man. And again, he also helped with Loki, he also helped with Ultron, and with Ultron he was even cleaning up a problem that he helped make. And in fact, with both of those particular individuals, Iron Man did more than Captain America did. But this is where my defense that I've been using this semester comes in handy. Because my mother-in-law is a staunch Catholic. She thinks that Augustine is the best. And if I use my Augustinian argument that I've presented before, that we should say what he can do relative to what he's capable of, and use that sliding relativistic scale in order to determine just how good of a superhero he is, that in fact makes his goodness seem even greater. Now, Thor is not going to buy an Augustinian argument. Thor is going to be a utilitarian about it. He's going to say, yes, but I have done more than he did. Have you ever heard of the invasion of the frost giants to the earth in 1500? No? You're welcome. I did that. And I'm going to have to tailor that argument a little bit differently for him. For him, it's going to be more in the number of people that he has managed to personally protect rather than protect by way of his actions and things that he has prevented. And it's going to come down to the fact that a superhero's humanity is going to be integral to it. I can still use the Augustinian argument, but I'm going to tailor it a little bit differently for that utilitarian god of thunder. And then again, for this essay, I would present my works cited. I would look at all of this primary research that I have, the works of St. Augustine, the actual movies that I talked about earlier. I would present some of those other scholarly articles that I can find on the use of superheroes and on the greatness of humanity and all of that kind of stuff. And again, I'm going to have the entire thing nice and clean. It's going to be professionally styled. I'm going to be using standard paragraph structure, and I'm going to be using MLA format. We're taking the same things that we've been doing, the same basic skills, and we're just adding on that one extra level that you have to explain it directly to a target audience instead of a general audience this time. And that's what's going to make our research paper what it is.